Fine. All right, we're live once again. This is Sunny Ray from the Sunny Ray Show. Thanks to our sponsor, Raz Rocket. Today, I'm joined by Antto Patrick. How's it going, Anto?
Doing great. It's a sunny morning here in San Francisco and getting ready for my work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cold morning up here in Toronto. My goodness, we've got the heat cranked up, and yet it's still it's struggling. It's struggling to warm up the house. Cool, Anto. So, I am really pumped about this interview. I was gonna say, so we're gonna obviously talk about Cosmic Brain. We're gonna talk about, your time at Grok, working on Optimus, your childhood, which I find fascinating, your love for robotics. But before I get into all that exciting stuff, I love to start with your background, right? Like your kind of where you coming from. Maybe share with people a little bit about, I think is it your mother that was like a physics teacher? But I just love that story, just envisioning you like as a kid, building robots. But kick us off with some backstory.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first time I built robots was at the age of 7. So I had that in me that I want to create stuff, and I was very fascinated by physics for sure. Like physics was my core element whenever I get my free time, whenever I feel like I need to get back into myself, I just start reading physics textbooks, right? And fortunately, my mom is a physics teacher, and I could borrow or steal her textbooks all the time. Reading those textbooks, I started building, experimenting on different things, right? From there, started building and led me into my engineering school, like did my electrical engineering, computer science degree. One of the first projects that I did was an electricity wave generator, which I built at the age of like around 17, 18, which is like kind of the big project that I did. In school, again, as I was doing my engineering, I built a ton of different products. I was a builder by nature. There was a time when the school kicked me out of my, almost kicked me out of my dorm room because it was filled with, drilling irons and PCBs and a lot of these kind of stuff. And not many schools and colleges like that. But fortunately, I was not. I was really good in academics. I did not struggle there in the engineering academic side of things. So the professors saw something in me that even if he's a bit crazy, he can still pass all the exams and get good grades. So why not let him be? So one of the products that I built in school actually kicked off. This was like a smart water bottle that could monitor electrolytes for athletes. So, if you are drinking Gatorade, for example, or coconut water or lemonade, for example, it can monitor like magnesium, calcium, all these kind of stuff. And with your smartwatch, it could say how much you have to replenish for your body, calculate the perspiration rate, your, calories burned and all that. So this patent was actually valuable. When I built the technology, I never understood the importance of that. It was a fun project, but eventually figured out the military actually had a use case for this for soldiers deployed in real life environments, and that kind of like got sold to the military. That project, the company was not like acquired or anything like that, but that was my kind of like first entrepreneurial experience. I was able to raise like a lot of money from Times Group and a few other investors, and we were like two college undergrads just trying to build a startup kind of thing, right? From there, I went on a kind of like a self-reflection journey to the Himalayas after my undergrad, trying to figure out what to do next, and came back to school, did my MBA, and that's when I was fascinated by space and all these kind of stuff. So I joined the East Astronomical Society in East Bay here in San Francisco. And I was fascinated by the stars, taking pictures of the galaxies and all that, and I was involved in some space projects here. Then later, that led me into my passion for AI and robotics as well. So I joined one of Elon's companies, building one of the largest AI clusters in the world, and that was fascinating enough, and was a very exciting project to be in. I cannot specify the names of anything right now because most of them are confidential. But in general, what I can say is that, yeah, worked on pretty cool projects. Then there was another part when I decided to quit that journey and start my own company that came in with the Trump's inauguration and DC in 2025, and that's how I met you, Sunny, as well. So yeah.
Cool. Now, I definitely want to get into the cosmic brain story, but wow, like what a start. I have a couple of questions. So when did wait, like what's your like earliest memory of building stuff? Like were you like 3? Were you 13? Like what age did you start tinkering? And I'm asking on a selfish note because I got a 1.5-year-old son and I'm trying to figure out when to get him to start building stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like the kits these days have way more resources. You can go to Amazon and buy like a robot kit for like less than $50, which was not the case when I was like growing up, right? So the first memory I have, the first motor and battery and electronics that I got was at the age of 7. So that's when I started building stuff, right? The first project that I did was actually I built a small amusement park with the roller coasters and giant wheels and everything. So it was like a small box full of like uh, great stuff, like entertainment. And then I built like robot dogs that could like just mimic human actions. And I built like a Siri, like a head that can move and talk to you, and a few other projects like so, like some kind of like crazy or dumb or like exciting projects like that. So that's my earliest memories of building stuff. Yeah.
You also had this like crazy thing where you were part of a project where you guys were doing robot fights or a fight club, right? Like, is that how did that come about? And I mean, that is just like one of the wildest things I've ever heard. But how did you get involved with that? And you and your friends?
Yeah, so early 2025, when the robotics was just kicking off, right? So a lot of people, especially in the Bay Area, had like a lot of prejudice or bias around robotics. They were like, most of the videos that you see on the internet are AI made and humanoids don't really exist. People do not actually believe in robots at all. Even in the center of the world, center of technology in Silicon Valley, people do not believe in it. So we had to figure out a way to break down those taboos and actually introduce robots to the world, to the people, especially investors, in a entertainment factor, not like a serious thing, because everyone here is trying to pitch VCs and get money from them, right? So we wanted to bring that human element into it, and that's how the Robot Fight Club was started with by a couple of my friends. And they took the robots out for a walk in the streets, and in San Francisco, people started looking at these robots and they wanted to take pictures, and they were like, "What is this stuff? Whoa, okay, robots can actually walk on 2 feet, and it's actually here outside of the research lab. That's crazy, right?" Then yeah, they took like a underground facility in downtown San Francisco where they put a cage together and had two humanoids fight each other, and this was done with two humans in the loop. They were kind of like controlling these robots to fight. And yeah, those were kind of the starting point, and that brought in a lot of people and attracted a lot of attention as well. And our company, Cosmic Brain, was also getting to know, getting kind of famous there. People are getting to see us, meet us, and ask us about robotics and what the questions and all that is about. And we could explain what we are actually doing, which is like actual real life scenarios in factories and home environments. How are we training robots to mimic actions and build skills around this new type of physical intelligence? Yeah.
So I have a question for you. So, I mean, robotics is something you've been passionate about since you were a kid, but for as long as I can remember, robots were they were cool, but they were a bit nerdy, mostly relegated towards, movies and things like that, right? But I mean, over the last few years, it's been like a renaissance, right? Where I mean, you hear Elon, you hear all these like, whether it's Jeff Bezos, companies like figure raising billions of dollars. But talk a little bit about first of all, I guess the robot journey, but then this AI thing, right? This like chat GPT moment. Or I know you said you worked with Elon there as well at Grok, was it? But what's the like what was your aha moment? Like when do you remember like seeing some of this and being like, oh my God, like this tech is gonna somehow marry itself to robotics and there's gonna be this like revolution.
Yeah, so I feel like technology is a evolutionary technology. So it does not come up all of a sudden. It's not like a haha moment where, that says, oh, like out of nowhere something gets born, right? It's not an invention, right? It's yeah, a lot of small technologies combined together, one leading to the other, leading to this technology to be possible at this day and time, right? So it's the domino effect. So we had like convolutional neural networks and the Transformers paper leading up to LLMs happening, right? And for the first time in the world, we could actually take the data in the internet and make an AI system. People have tried building AI in the past in 1950s and 1960s, but they did not have the internet, right? So it's the internet that enabled LLMs to happen and the chatbots to come out. And the LLMs paved the way for diffusion models, where you can generate images and videos and all these kind of stuff. And these kind of models gave rise to 3D worlds, where you can build world models, right? Where you can construct the entire Earth into your laptop, right? And this gave birth to physics engines and breakthroughs in robotics. And most of these breakthroughs happened last year in 2025, which is like very recently, right? People have been stuck with the ideology that robotics, they look at Boston Dynamics or these like research labs, which, 10 years back, they'd never launched any product into the public, or none of the robots is actually usable. But all those misconceptions started to change last year, right? And China was manufacturing massive amount of robots, and the US was building the breakthroughs in intelligence layers. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, now is the time. If I don't jump into this opportunity, I'm missing out on a lot. And why not be the earliest member or the earliest believer in this and start building a company and make this actually usable, commercializable product? Yeah, so that's how I jumped into it.
And Anto, you mentioned earlier that you had a chance to work with Elon Musk. I mean, that's the dream of, I'd say, most technopreneurs, children, so how did that happen? And then number two, what did you learn from like a mindset perspective from, the wealthiest man on earth working alongside him and his team?
Yeah, so I feel like Elon is that one guy in this world who is passionate enough to build stuff that a lot of people do not care about, right? Even if you look at the past billionaires or millionaires, they all care about just making money. This can come from oil or commodities and all these kind of stuff, but none of the people ever that existed in the human race have thought about building cool shit like this. It was only scientists. And a lot of scientists out there, even though they wanted to build robots or space engines and these kind of stuff, they never had the money to do it. So Elon had both. He had the nerdy spirit, he had the head of a scientist, and he had the right amount of resources to enable this to happen. And obviously, in his early path, he faced a lot of challenges because of that, because no one believed in him, right? He took for almost 10, 15 years, no one believed in any of the stuff that he was building. NASA was against him. The government was against him. People were against commercial space flights and everything, right? But he surpassed all that and made that into a reality. And I believe that's the mindset that he's bringing into his teams as well, right? That passion to create something out of the ordinary and prove people wrong. And as he always says, physics is the only constraint that you have. Everything else can be pushed, far beyond the limits, and it is achievable, right? And that's the vision that he mentors his employees with, to work extra hard and not think on the constraint level, just create stuff that's never been done before. This is like a very public information how Elon created the Colossus project, like which was in 90 days compared to and that was 100,000 GPU clusters, which no one has ever done before, right? Some of the other AI companies out there took almost 2 years to build half that size of data centers. So yeah, and reusable rockets, for example, SpaceX, no one thought reusable rockets were possible. So we need a guy like that to build impossible technologies like this, and that is driving humanity ahead and the entire human race forward. Yes.
Love it, love it. So maybe help me shift gears a little bit now. So when did the insight behind Cosmic Brain come about? What is Cosmic Brain? Who are you partnering with in terms of your founders? Tell us the story of Cosmic Brain because it's perhaps the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. So early 2025, I was in the inauguration in DC, the presidential inauguration, and I was speaking to Sam Altman, and Elon and a lot of other visionaries in this field, and they were all like very passionate about robotics. They all believe that robotics is going to be the future, and we are gonna do a lot of great stuff with it, right? And America was in a special position to actually I kind of like implement robotics in different fields because we are going through a labor crisis. We need to stand on our 2 feet. We cannot depend on any other countries to manufacture our own goods, and robotics was the only way forward. And while I was speaking to these people about it, they were like, "Hey, like you should do this for America. You should do this for the United States," and that kind of like pumped me up. Like I was like, "Okay, this is my mission and this is my passion." Let me go back home to San Francisco and just quit my job and jump right into it. And I was able to get my first angel checks from a couple of parties in Washington, D.C. as well, which kind of motivated me or gave me the resources to quit my job as well. I came here. I talked to my friend Chi. So Chi worked with Larry and Sergey at Google for 20 plus years. And he was also equally passionate about physical AI because he has personal interest with his family and everything that he wanted to build elderly assistant robots which can take care of elderly people and all that, right? And when he saw my passion that and I'm willing to quit my job, he's like, let's join forces and start this new company. And he bought an Ed Miner, our other co-founder, and he had a lot of experience building YouTube. So he was one of the early employees or pre-acquisition engineer at YouTube building, YouTube what it is as of today. So he brought in all the experience with video models and, storing petabytes of data, which is everything that is for robotics. The way that text was for LLMs is how video is for robotics foundation models. And yeah, all three of us joined forces, game became full time, and we are bootstrapped for a while. And yeah, the journey began from there. And yes.
And maybe just explain what Cosmic Brain does. Like, so you're able to what take skills from humans and convert them into VLAs. Like, what break that down a little bit, and also maybe finish up or talk a little bit about your vision, right? Like, what does a win look like? Let's say 5 years from now or 10 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to explain cosmic brain is with a non-technical analogy, right? So think of cosmic brain like a refinery of oil, right? So when yeah, you dig the earth, there is crude oil. But this crude oil in itself is not usable by any of the companies out there. That's why you need to pass it through a refinery to filter it and make it into petroleum and diesel, right? So it can be used by anybody. So Cosmic Brain right now is a refinery for data sets. So we collect a ton of different data from all across the world. And we pass it through this AI data translation layer, which we have built, the infrastructure layer we have built, and it can filter the data out. It can clean it up, the messy data, and make it something that the robots can actually understand. So it's a video to robot transfer protocol here, right? So any human actions can be turned into robot actions. And our end goal is simple. We want to build like an app store for robots, right? So when you have a humanoid robot in your house, even though there are generalist models that can allow the robots to pick different stuff or pick in place and stuff, there are skills that needs to be taught. Like for example, if you need to make sushi or pasta or move the lawn, the robot needs to understand which buttons to press, what objects to pick, and first crack open the egg or put the oil first and wait for 5 minutes till the pan heats up and put the pasta or these kind of stuff, right? So that's the skill that is needed. So just like you download the Facebook app or Instagram app on your phone, you'll be able to download skills into your robots, and that's the ultimate vision for robotics: a skill set marketplace that enables the entire robotic industry to come through. And this starts from data. It starts from refining data and going into the skill sets itself.
So again, like humanoids were almost like non-existent, maybe 0.00001% of the world was even thinking about it, and all of a sudden now it's like almost everybody's thinking about it to some extent. So lately, Elon's been talking about how the kind of the widespread deployment of humanoids will lead to the alleviation of poverty. He talks about how we'll have more humanoids in the next 3 years that can perform surgery than the best brain surgeon in the world. I mean, these are some massive, massive leaps in terms of what's possible for humanity. Um, can you talk about that a little bit? Like, I know you were from, is it India, Mumbai you were born in, or you're from there, right?
Yeah, my parents are Indians, but I grew up in the Middle East actually most of my life.
Interesting.
So yeah,
Interesting.
then moved to the US. So I've never lived much in India, to
Got
be
it.
honest. So yeah, but I've
Got it.
visited India a couple of times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I
so
guess yeah, but I guess my
yeah.
point there was is that India is a great place, a lot of wealthy people there, but there's also a tremendous amount of poverty. And so when I think about like that robots could potentially lead to an abundance of food for people, things like that, that gets me really excited. How much of that is rhetoric, rah rah, like Elon just like saying what he says versus reality? Like, do you believe that that kind of future is possible for us?
Yeah, it's definitely possible, right? But the factor is that how much of resources we are willing to spend in this technology, and how fast can we grow this technology of robotics, right? And regulations and all these kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that factors that play around it. But given that everything works perfectly, or passes through all these bottlenecks, then humanoids will definitely eliminate poverty. Because, for example, if you deploy some robots into Africa, you can just construct houses. Yeah, for example, in India, right? You can just clean up the streets and make instead of like making humans like work for waste management or cleaning the streets or painting the buildings or doing stuff. You can just deploy like thousands of robots there to do all these stuff for the humans, and that will make the houses cheaper as well because you're not paying humans any wages, right? The robots are fully autonomous; they can work 24/7 in constructing large buildings and housings and all that. So the cost of goods will go way down the making houses and everything, and that in itself will enable more humans to have hands over their own properties and houses and better streets and better lifestyle, right? And even, for example, a robot as a nanny in your house. So like, imagine that you have like 5 kids and you cannot afford a nanny. So you get this robot in your house, and the robot takes care of like cooking and cleaning and washing the dishes and taking care of the kids. Now you feel like, okay, now you have some money to spare. So that makes people essentially more wealthy because they have more better resources to manage, and they can be more artistic and more creative in the way that they live as well. So essentially that's the idea of robotics, to make human life better, not a domination or what you see in Terminator. It's for the good of humanity, and that's what we are standing for in Cosmic Brain as well. So that's our mission.
And how do we as entrepreneurs in this space ensure that this ends up in a good place? Because Jeffrey Hinton, Elon, I mean, so many of these guys are, also warning the world about the dangers of this that you touched on. So, like, how, as an entrepreneur, how do you think about that kind of stuff regularly? Is it more just like an afterthought? How do you, I mean, such a big responsibility on your shoulder.
Yes, it's I think about it all the time actually. So we are living in such a special age and time right now, especially in our lifetimes. We are like fortunate enough to have been in this planet at this particular time as well, right? And for the first time in the human race, we have this intelligence that far surpasses that of human itself, right? And that is AI. And now, for the first time, this intelligence is getting a human form. So, and this human form can act and behave just like humans, which is crazy. Like that's never happened before, right? And that arises the threats, right? It's dangerous. Like if you don't control this in the way, if it gets in the hands of the bad people, they can use this for a lot of bad things, right? So that's why we need the guardrails. We need to prevent bad things from happening. So we need commandments. So we're working on something called the 10 Commandment for robots once it's getting released, so that it does not harm another human being or disobey human command and all these kind of stuff, right? So it's very important on how we, and that all starts with the data, right? So who controls the data, who refines the data is ultimately the controller of the ethics around robotics, and the guardrails are around robotics, because data is the brain of robots, and videos are the brain of robots. And what the robots are fed is what the robots will mimic and do in this real life. And that's why Cosmic Brain is also very, very much strongly standing for the good of humanity and for the good of robotics.
So there's this like ultimate threat, like you said, of Terminator, these things, killing us type of thing, right? Or being used in
Yeah.
warfare. But then there's also a kind of like a midterm threat that a lot of people are talking about, which is, I mean, if you can take a video of a human performing a skill and embed that into a robot, what's the need for humans, right? So people talk about, immense job loss and this whole thing about meaning. How do you think through stuff like that? I mean, there's just such big topics.
Yeah, so the fear that humans are gonna lose jobs is I don't believe much in that because there will be a shift initially, right? But eventually there will be like who's gonna repair all these robots? Who's gonna paint all these robots? Who's gonna code all these robots, right? If the number of robots far surpasses that of humans, every human will have two or three robots to work with every day of their life. And that is like income in itself. So it's a much better wealth management system and more distributed wealth. Even a high school kid or a middle school kid will be able to fix a robot in their room. You don't even have to have a garage like cars. Cars are huge and you need big tools for it, but for robots, it's easy and you can make money out of that. So this is a new industry and or a revolution that's happening, and I feel like more and more people will benefit than losing their jobs. Yes, so that's what I believe in.
Until you've built companies out of your dorm room. You've been doing robotics since you were a kid. You've worked for NASA. You worked with Elon, and now you're embarking on this amazing journey, right? Where you're building Cosmic Brain with Chi and Ed. What I guess like what are the big challenges that in this first year of entrepreneurship that you're facing? And I know you recently had like kind of an epiphany as well. Like, can you maybe touch on a little bit in terms of where your mind is today and your heart, and this maybe help me land this plane in the final minutes of this interview?
Yes, absolutely. So this is what I can say. Like starting a robotics company is hard. It's not easy at all. It's not like creating a B2B SaaS company or an AI agent company, right? We are dealing with technologies that people have never seen before, and that there is a factor of human understanding that we have to like teach people, educate people on what we are building, and we have to pull in research level technologies and try to commercialize it and try to make money out of it, right? So for me, it's my passion that matters the most, right? And I love what I do every day of my life, and I'm never tired of it. No matter how many times I fail, I will still keep going, and that's my vision and mission in life, right? I can survive on ramen every day if I will have to. But yeah, that's the kind of like the passion behind Cosmic Brain, and we have pivoted multiple times. So again, we faced a lot of challenges when we started the company. A lot of people are not believing in us. So we pivoted. We talked to like hundreds of people out there, including academics, professors, industrialists, trying to understand their problems. What do they actually need from robotics? What kind of partner do they see in Cosmic Brain? So we are aligning ourselves over the course of like 1 year into what we are as of today. And this can also change because we are just a starting company, and companies change throughout every week or every month, right? So we are on this journey of learning, and we feel like we will be able to provide value to our customers and value to this entire industry in itself, and that's our mission. Yes.
Love it. I love it. Wanto, you are truly an inspiration. And I love everything you guys are working on, and I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for your time together. I know you're a super busy guy, but I hope the audience really enjoyed this interview.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sunny.
All right, we'll
Pleasure
talk
being
soon,
here.
bud. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.